You have to excuse me because I'm a little crazy. So there you go. But who isn't these days? Who isn't a little crazy or a lot crazy? But I'm only just getting to the point where I can actually acknowledge that I'm crazy. So it's much more fun for me these days because I can go, you know what, I'm just a little crazy. And then also, I realized that this painting behind me is not in the center, and I'm also a little OCD. So now the whole time I'm going to be looking at this, looking at you guys, thinking about that painting not being in the center behind my head. So there you go. That's my dilemma for today. So welcome everyone from Houston, the USA, which is having an epic thunderstorm right now, which is wonderful. Welcome to the next installment of this Facebook Live. That I put these two up, the one that was on last week and this week, to talk to you guys about a class called The Foundation, but also basically to follow the energy and go with what's up in the world, what's up for you guys, what access consciousness can contribute, and what I can contribute to your lives, because I can, and I'm really grateful for that. And one of the things I'm more grateful for now than ever is that I have the capacity to do that, to contribute to people's lives. And before, for me, it was like, no, I don't. Like, I do this less than reality. And now it's like, yes, I do. I'd like to contribute to you all. I'd like all of us to be able to have a space in our world, a space in our lives, a space in our living where you actually get to enjoy yourself from your reality. You actually get to know what's true for you. And so the title of this was, what if everything truly is the opposite of what it appears to be? Now, one of the tools that we have in Access Consciousness, and maybe in the foundation class, I don't know anymore, is it's the crazy phrase. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And if you are one of those people that thinks a lot, or comes to a lot of conclusions, or a lot of decisions, like a lot of us, saying this phrase over and over at least 10 times, it cracks that thing in that machine in your head, which we call our minds, which doesn't do us much good. Because that's what we do, is when we come to this thing of, we come to a conclusion, or we come to a decision, or we're doing this monkey mind thing when it won't stop, is we have come up with so many things that we've decided are real and true based on this. Now, if everything was real and true based on your mind, wouldn't you be able to figure your life out? And if we could figure our lives out with our minds, wouldn't we be a little better off right now with our lives and living? So the thing with this is, and the conversation that, well, we'll see where we go with this, and we'll see how crazy you guys are willing to get. But this conversation of being versus thinking. So one of the things that we do in this reality is we tend to do a lot. Everything's about do. This is how that I prove that I'm being. This is how that I prove that I'm valuable. This is how I prove I'm successful. This is how I prove that I'm happy. This is how I prove, rather than being you and functioning from that space of being, from that space of question, choice, well, a lot more. But you as an infinite being have infinite choice. You have infinite perceiving, you have infinite knowing, you have infinite being, and you have infinite receiving. Now, that's a lot, right? Infinite, bigger than you can put any boundary around. It keeps going and going and going and going and going. And so, well, let's look at that for 1 minute with the energy of that. Is, for a lot of us, what we think is, this is us. This is me. This is me sitting here talking to you. No, this is right here. This is my body. But how many of you have bought the idea, this reality's idea, that this is you, that this is all that you are? Well, what if you as a being were far, 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 far bigger than that? Now, one of the exercises that we have with this is, if you close your eyes and expand out a mile, and all you have to do is ask. Now expand out 10 miles. Now expand out 100 miles. Now expand out 1,000 miles. Now expand out 10,000 miles. Now we could keep going and going and going, but even out there with that much space, are you everywhere? So could a being that big fit inside of a body this small? So, and with that, and that's to give you an awareness of a bigger universe that you, in the acknowledgement of that, a bigger universe that you function from. Now, with that comes a dynamic level of awareness, So you might have situations where you go, how did I know that? Or you might think of somebody who's in another country and then they call, or you might be in a room with people and there's upset going on and you're aware of that upset and you have this awareness. Now, with this, one of the gifts in getting this, one of the gifts in acknowledging it is when you start acknowledging the difference of you, when you start acknowledging that awareness, you start acknowledging you as a being, then you get to expand that awareness. You get to stop buying the lies of this is all there is and this is what's true to, okay, what is actually true for me? And what if everything truly is the opposite of what it appears to be? Now, so this thing with being and being, infinite being, perceiving, knowing, and receiving. Now, in this reality, what we do is we use the lower harmonics of that to function, which is thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sex and no sex. What the hell? What's that? Okay, well, let me ask the question. So, which one's quicker, thinking or knowing? When you know something, do you know it instantaneously without having to have a thought? Yeah, right? When you just go, oh, I knew that, I know this, or you make a choice and you go, you're not even quite sure why you're making it at that point in time because it makes no sense to you logically, but you make it anyway because you actually know. Well, what if now is the time to actually start functioning from that space of being? What if now is the time? And this is a different conversation because and a lot of you have heard a lot of this stuff already, but one of the awarenesses I got the other day was I grasped a lot of concepts of being. And one of them was oneness. And we talk about oneness with access, and we've got a definition for oneness and consciousness, is where everything and everything and everyone is included, and nothing and no one is judged. Now, I had a concept of that. I went, oh, okay, like it energetically made sense to me. Yeah, that's oneness, like oneness where every molecule in the universe is in communion with every other molecule. And it might not make, once again, doesn't make sense to your head, but energetically you go, oh, yeah. And science talks about it, and all different types of things talk about it. But so I got the concept of this, but I never actually had the awareness of being it. And I was on this, I just got back from Mexico yesterday, and we were out on this swimming with the dolphins tour. And I was with this sweet gift in my life, this sweet person, and she was in the water. And we were in the ocean, and I held on to her and I said, it's okay, I'm here for you. And the ocean is here for you. Will you let the ocean contribute to you, and will you let me contribute to you? And it was such a beautiful thing for her and for me and for everything. She got to this point for her where she actually just got to let go. She actually just got to let go and be taken care of. She got to let go and let the ocean take care of her, let the universe take care of her, let me take care of her. And the awareness that I got from that was the image that I'd created myself as this individual creature, this I'm Brendon Watt, this is who I am, I'm a facilitator, I do blah, 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 I'm blah, blah, blah. And none of that was there. None of that was there, and there was no separation between me, her, the ocean, the universe. And I finally got the awareness of what it is to be in communion. Now, why am I telling that? Because it's awesome, but also because how much do we use our minds to create a separation from everything and everyone around us while thinking that's the way to stay connected? Everything that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Why are my comments not working? Right, wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So this thing with, thank you. This thing with the mind is we basically go into it and we think that's the way to figure everything out. That's the way to figure our lives out. That's the way to understand everything. That's the way to communicate. That's the way to have connection. What if it wasn't? What if everything truly is the opposite of what it appears to be when it comes to that? And what if your mind's job is actually the machine in which you use to create the limitations that allow you to allow you to belong, to allow you to fit in, to allow you to be understood, to allow you to understand? So everything that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And what if from this space of being you could go, what if from this space of being anything became possible? Now, even in saying that, it's, what if right now you let your mind go? Even just for this Facebook Live, you're like, you know what, I'm just going to be like I was when I was a kid and just go along for the ride and not have any expectations or not try and figure it all out and just go along for the ride energetically and see if I get a little bit of space in my world, or a lot more space in my world, or a lot more of that lightness, or a lot more of that sense of peace, that sense of joy, that sense of just me. And see, a lot of us with this idea of being from space is it feels like nothing. And so I talked about an infinite being has infinite perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving, and then we take that and we basically eliminate all of it to create thoughts, feelings, emotions, sex, and no sex, so that we can function in this reality. So, excuse me. So I talked about the thing with knowing versus thinking, where we go from knowing, using our awareness and our capacity to question, to create greater awareness. We take that and we use our minds to create the thoughts as if that's what we know. Well, the next one is rather than being, see, the lower harmonic of being is emotions. So rather than being, we create all of these emotions so that we can prove that we are. So we'll go, well, this is how I feel happy. I feel sad. I feel like me. I feel motivated. And all of those feelings, and this is what so blah, everything that is, everywhere you're using feelings and emotions to define you as your being, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Thank you all for watching. I'm just like looking right now. Oh, there's lots of you beautiful people. Okay, wonderful. So with this, having this conversation about oneness and communion, and being from this space of beyond who we've decided we are, and well, this is an interesting one to talk about. I've had some I've had some huge changes in my life in the last few weeks, and I talked about a lot of it on the last Facebook Live. But the changes have been definitely exponentializing every day since, and it's very interesting to try and put anything into words at the moment, but also um, having this having this dynamic awareness now of what else is possible, and then having so much more um, caring for myself and space in my own world, and just going, okay, how do I be this for how do I be the space of that, the invitation of that, so that other people actually know that it's possible. And I always knew that something else was possible, always. But I was so vested in this, in my mind, in figuring everything out, but also in having an image, maintaining an image, being right, while thinking that I was just wrong all the time. And I, this thing of everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be, is such a underused tool, but also such a valuable gift if you're willing to use it. Because once you get out of the idea that you are what you think, then there is a whole universe of possibilities available, and the space and the ease and the joy and the glory that you can have in your life. And I've talked about, I mean, we've in Access talked about for a long time that your mind can only extrapolate within the boundaries of its limitations. So it can only go over and over and over and over and over and over and over the same information again, trying to spit out a different result, which never works. What if anything and everything was possible based on your uniqueness, based on your willingness to be, based on your willingness to be you, and your capacity to actually ask the question. So everything that is times a godzillion, and everything that is, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all night, shorts, boys, mules. And like I said, very interesting to try and put this um, into words at the moment. And it's, what if that was okay too? How many of the things that show up in your life do you instantaneously go to wrongness about? Do you go, oh my God, I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to think, or I don't know how to act, or that doesn't match my image, or how do I get that right? Or so many of these things that we go to our head as this computational reality to try and figure ourselves out, rather than just go, okay, here I am. And that is where so many different possibilities exist for us. And so I'm just gonna, to the best of my ability, be this space for you guys right now, and see what comes of that. But also, we have opened some doors recently to different possibilities with being space. And I've been fortunate enough and so fucking grateful to be in a lot of Dr. Dane Here's classes lately. And so we went from talking about this thing of now is the time for a long time, to now is the space. And taking this element of time out of it, and not not even taking it out of it, but not making time the relevant aspect to any creation or any actualization of the future, but being from a different space and having the walls come down to the way in which anything needs to show up in your life. And I know for me, like for me growing up, it was well, this is how it's done. You know, this is how you make money. This is how you get happy. This is how you um, create an image of yourself. This is what you should look like. And it was all based on time. It was all based on, you know, when you hit a certain age, this is what shows up. And then you need to get a relationship. And now you need to get a job. And now you're getting older. And now you should look like this. And it was always, see, well, one of the things that we've also talked about for a long time, and another thing that Dane said many years ago was your point of view creates your reality. Your reality does not create your point of view. So, how much of those things in your life, based on what you've been told, based on other people's points of view, have you used to create your reality when it was never yours? So, everything that is times a godzillion, everything that you've done to create you based on somebody else's point of view, were you just trying to create it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine, shorts, boys, millions. I like that, how it just like transcribes what I'm saying in real time. That's amazing. Oh, wow. Um, so it could seem like you would go, yeah, okay, well, I get that. And I do, I get this conversation where you're talking about like creating myself based on this image. What's the way out of it? But also, what's the way out of it so that I can still maintain that image and still have some sense of what I am. And that part there, I definitely get. I definitely get that. And that was one of the things that I was not willing to let go of was this. Well, I've created myself as this, and I have an awareness. I have an awareness of well, I begin to have an awareness of what's beyond it, of the space beyond it. But that letting go, that what I talked about before with that thing in the ocean, that actual letting go and going, okay, consciousness, oneness, I'm in. That can seem like a gigantic step. So that one I definitely get. Can I just say everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And I talked about a few things in the last Facebook Live that I did with where I'd been on this journey in the last, well, definitely in the last 12 months. But um, one of the things for me was a few weeks ago in the choices that I was making, which I've talked about also, and I'm not going to go into it again right now. Um, for about 2 weeks there, it with making this demand of, you know what, I'm in. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what I'm going to have to choose. I don't know what I'm going to have to lose. I don't know what I'm going to have to gain. I'm not even sure what question to ask. I'm not sure. Universe, help. Please help me. I don't know where to go. Um, in making that demand of me, there was hundreds of times in a 2 week period where I just wanted to give up. I wanted to give up. I didn't want to go any further. I didn't want to explore any further. I just wanted, every time that those walls that would come up that in the past would have stopped me, I just wanted to quit. But I didn't. And and I knew that this time I had to keep going. And I wasn't sure why or what or blah, it's irrelevant. But what I'm getting at with this is how many times in your life do you get to a certain point of this undefinition or this, let's call it like a flash of, or an awareness, or like this nanosecond of an awareness of who you actually be, and want to just go, no, can't define it. It's too big. It's too much potency. It's too much joy, it's too much ease, it's too too much space. So everything that is times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. Well, so with that, what if it was actually the easiest step that you could take? Now, I would have, I'm talking about this because I actually realized that once I started taking those steps, each step I took, they actually were the easiest steps I'd ever taken. And that once again makes no sense to your head, because you would this thing of everything's the opposite of what it appears to be and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Please use it. Please use it when that uncomfortability comes up. Please use it when that wanting to give in comes up. Please use it when that having no idea what to choose comes up. Please use it and run it. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And with this, with these steps forward into this, what we would think or what we would call an unknown space, which is actually more closer to the reality of what we actually do know, what you actually know, and the difference that you are, is as you give in, but it's the only real word I can find for this right now, but give in to this space and start giving up all of those fixed points of view that you have about yourself, and all of those things that you've decided you are, and just going, okay, universe, please show me the way. Please help me with this. Please help me with this. Can I please have some miracles with this? Can you please show me the steps to take here? Can you please can you please just contribute to me having more of me? Whatever that is and whatever that looks like, is as you begin to ask for that, and from this space of vulnerability with you, though. Not see, what I'd done in the past also was I'd pretend to ask questions, and when we have an when you have an image in place, and it is, you basically, your life is must uphold that image. I've spent my life creating that image, is for me, and I'll speak from this to, in the hopes that it contributes to any space or freedom for you also, is when you have that image in place, and your sole job in life, your main job in life, is to uphold that image, is question is not a source for creation of a different reality and a different future. Question only becomes the source of maintaining what is. So everything that is, and everywhere you've pretended to ask questions, and I get it, I've been doing it for a long time too, and I'm like, no more, thank you very much, fuck you to pretending to asking questions. Everything that is times the godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys and beyonds. And in from this space, in going, you know what, I'm actually going to be vulnerable enough with myself here, and start asking a question, and start actually being the space that allows me to move forward into possibilities in my life, and actually explore something different, actually explore what it is to be me, and explore the space of me. And in that, the inclusion of everything else that comes with it is quite well, it's quite interesting how much it also contributes to adding to that space. And when you let down those walls, and you let down those barriers to who you've decided you are, and you actually let the universe in, and everything in the universe in. And every time you get more space in your world, the universe is gifting you more of you, and you're getting more space in your world. And as you get more space in your world, the universe gets more of it, and everything and everyone connected to that universe, based on your willingness to be more and receive more from everything and everyone around you gets more of it too. Everything that is times a godzillion, everything that doesn't allow that to be the space from which you can choose, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, millions. And I don't know if I'm sounding like just like a total whack job right now, but I don't really care about that anymore, apparently. Because I don't, this is the part I do not know how to put into words of that, what I was just saying then, with the willingness to receive from everything and everyone around you, and that giving you more space of you, and then it gets more of it. And it's, what if that was our world? And what if that was us? And I'm not saying that it's like all of the things in your life that are still showing up won't show up, but imagine or ponder even the things that show up in your life now from choosing to be this space. And please acknowledge that it is a choice. And I man, I waited for this for a long time and went, well, where is the space? You know, when am I gonna like fucking get happy and blah blah blah, and why aren't I getting happy, and why aren't I getting more of me, and you know, and it was all this bullshit that I was using to justify the choices that I wasn't willing to make. And in recognizing that I have a different choice, and we all do, we all have a different choice. And please get that part. If you get anything out of this, is please recognize that you do have choice. You have a different choice, and in each and every moment of your life, there is not 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 50 choices. You have choice, and that's a whole different conversation. But so with this, in choosing to be that, well, that vulnerability with yourself, one of the things that changed, well, and is changing my life right now, even as we speak, is realizing just how little vulnerability I had with myself. And so vulnerability, what do I mean by that, is the willingness to have no walls and barriers to yourself or anyone or anything around you. And it really is the willingness to be that raw space of receiving from everything. And for a lot of us, what we've learned is, you know, I'll receive certain things, but I won't receive that because that's bad, and or I'll just receive that because that's good. And once again, our minds, because our mind's job is to judge everything, is we've already categorized what we will and will not receive. So the vulnerability is just non-existent. And for me, when I started getting that, going, you know what, I'm, and truly just started asking for it. So let's do this. So what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you be to have total vulnerability? No, let's do it this way. To have total honor, trust, vulnerability, gratitude, and allowance for me for all eternity with total ease. Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And so run that, um, because that begins to change the energy of everywhere you've been shutting that out of your world, everywhere that you haven't seen that as a possibility or haven't, um, well, basically haven't had it as a possibility. So, what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you be to have total allowance, trust, vulnerability, honor, and gratitude? And I didn't say them in the same order just then because that's not the way my head works. So there you go. For all eternity with total ease. Everything that doesn't allow that times a godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Um, so once again, this thing of everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be, comes into play with this too. In the sense of, see, for me growing up, it was vulnerability was if you're vulnerable, you're weak. Learn how to put up walls and barriers to all the things that could hurt you. Learn to put up walls and barriers to all the things that are wrong or not understandable or don't match your image or whatever that is. But it's like we have so many of these walls and barriers in our lives that keep out not only the beauty and the receiving of the universe, but also keep us out from our universe. Keep out what we can, the access that we do actually have available to the infinite perceiving known being and receiving. And wondering, because see, we keep out the access to it, but we still have a sense and awareness of it. So notice the things in your life where from this thing of time or from image or whatever it is, many different things, too many to go into, but notice in your life the areas where you know something else is possible but you can't quite seem to get to it. You know that there has to be something else available but you can't quite seem to get to it because it doesn't exist within this within the boundaries of this compression of you that you've decided is you. So everything that is times a godzillion, and everything that doesn't allow you to destroy and uncreate, that right now, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. We are all unique. And this, so I talked before about this thing with getting this awareness of oneness and really like getting it and not even really getting it as if you could ever get oneness, like from everything, and it keeps going and going, but actually getting it, getting a sense in my world of just the space that is actually available, that is a choice that we all have available. I just totally lost my train of thought. Apparently, the space is working. But okay, so this thing with we are all unique, yet how many of you have been told or have been sold or have bought or have been implanted or explanted or bought the lie of this idea that in order to have you, you must separate from everyone and everything. That is one of the greatest lies of this reality. So everything that is, everywhere you've bought the lie of in order to have you, you must be separate from everyone and everything. Will you please destroy and create all that? Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. The awareness that came with this this awareness of being well, I didn't actually say this part before, was we've had this. Dane's talked about a lot of with oneness of being the drop in the ocean while being the ocean simultaneously. And I was like, yeah, I kind of grasp that. I get the concept of that, but have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Um, this this was a sense of that and gave me the awareness of that, the energy of that, and the space of that. And what I realized with stepping into more and more and more of this to the best of my ability is each time I make a choice to become less defined and less of that, well, I must separate in order to have me, the more of me I get. And each time that I step into more of that to the best of my ability and choose more of that, the more of everything around me gets to be more of it. And I don't know what else to say about that, but notice the difference in space with that. So, what would it be like if you could ask for this and ask for the space of you to be the space that you create you from? And ask the universe, hey, universe, you know what? I've been choosing a lot of shit in my life, and I'm grateful for every single choice that I've made because it's actually gotten me to this point right now. And I'm going to honor myself enough to recognize that I I am awesome. You know, as much as I've treated myself like shit and haven't probably been very kind to myself from this moment forward to the best of my ability, I'm I'm awesome. And I'm going to tell myself that. And fucking, and that might, it sounds like a bit of a cheesy thing to say, but who gives a shit? I mean, Jesus Christ, if we looked at the shit that we listen to and create our lives by and think that's not fucking cheesy, what the fuck? I mean, we will buy a point of view in a heartbeat and create it as our reality when it's not not in any way close to true for us. How much does this, and with this conversation and what we're talking about here, actually give you a sense of lightness and more of you? What if you could create your life that way? So what if you could have the honoring of you to go, you know what? I'm awesome. I'm fucking today, from this point forward, I'm awesome. I'm gonna go with that. But also having the allowance of you to choose whatever it is that you're going to choose, but not go straight to that place of now I'm good or now I'm bad or now I'm right or now I'm wrong, and having allowance for you in your life. One of the other ones with the process I ran before is gratitude, and start writing down the things, or start at least becoming aware of what you're grateful for. I mean, I just got back to, and this has been, and interesting enough, well, I just realized how much more of all of that becomes available from this space. I just got back from Mexico, like I said before, on this, which we did the certified facilitators training down there, and then also Dane did this body whispering class, which was wow. Um, but it was 2 weeks of more change than it was just wow. But I got home last night, and usually when I get home, I'll be like, okay, I'm back to my life or whatever. And it was just like, and I got here last night and walked into my house, and I was just, for the first, um, oh, oh, each moment for me is, well, fuck, I can't even talk. But for the first time last night, like I walked in and I was just like, wow, I'm so grateful to be here. Like, and I'm saying this because it's like all of this starts becoming more and more and more and more and more. And when it's, oh, words are fleeting. Um, as you start choosing a life toward lightness and towards space, the doors that open up create more of that lightness and more of that space. And each time you choose for more lightness and more space, you receive more of that lightness and more space. Please, what would it be like if you could have that as your life and living now? And I'm not sure if this has contributed, and I really hope it has. What else is possible for you and your life and living and our world and our planet and our future, and creating from this space of gratitude and allowance and honor and trust and vulnerability, and from space, and also from caring, and caring for us, caring for our world, caring for our planet. And another great gift that I got for me in the last few weeks is I'd been asking for different things over the past 11 years since starting Access Consciousness. And I realized one of the things was when I first, just before I took my first foundation class, it was right before I actually took my first bars class. I was looking at my son, who was 4 at the time, and and he'd wake up. We were sharing this tiny little bedroom at my mum's house, and he'd wake up in the morning and he'd be like, "What are we doing today, Dad?" And he'd be like this bubble of joy, and he'd just be like so happy and just want to run around, and everything was possible, and I would just wake up depressed and unhappy and blah and blah, and and I remember thinking, I'd love him to have a world where he didn't have to grow up and judge himself, where he knew that anything was possible, where he could create himself from this space of who he'd like to be. And I remember thinking, how am I ever going to show him that if I'm not willing to be it? Well, I got that awareness 11 years ago, but only actually, I got the concept of that 11 years ago, but it wasn't until 3 weeks ago that I actually, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that I actually once again got the awareness of what it is to be that. And I say that because in getting that, with whatever it is that you're asking for to show up in your life, if it's more space, if it's less judgment, if it's joy, happiness, I'd like to be grateful. It has to start with you. And getting that it gives you well, for me, once again, and I'm using myself a lot in this in hopes that you will see where it applies to you, if it applies to you, and if it doesn't, cool. If it does, cool. But also give you some platform from which you can start to choose from. And in recognizing this for me was, oh, I've been asking for a whole lot of things to show up that I'm not willing to choose. So what I did was went, fuck that shit, I'm going to choose it now. But so everything that is for you, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and millions. So I do hope this contributed. I do want to give you one other process because it's awesome. What energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can you and your body be to be the last of your species on planet Earth for all eternity, with total ease? Everything that doesn't allow that, times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So, thank you all. I think I have a foundation class coming up in 2 weeks. Bars class is a prerequisite to that. I'm looking forward to this class big time. It's an amazing class. You get a manual, and we go through. It's 4 days of what else is possible. So I truly hope this contributed something to you. Like I said, maybe I'm just a whack job, but it's blah. I'm going to stop talking, but there. So thank you. I have nothing else to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.